Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It is 12 o'clock. Thank you for joining us today as we discuss our email marketing best practices. So just a few housekeeping items. Please keep yourself on mute if you are not speaking to eliminate the background noise. We will be monitoring questions via chat or hand raising. So the chat function at the very top is the second icon. It looks like a conversation bubble. So if you have questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to chat the group or raise your hand and we can address those. This meeting is recorded, so it will be available to review after we are done. It will be posted on StoreLink, and we will be sending out a brief survey after this to gauge your experience. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Heather Hall to get started. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Emily. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with the group. Okay, Emily, are you seeing that okay?
Not yet. Oh, there it is. Got it.
Okay, perfect. Glad it's working. Always makes me a little bit nervous. All right, well, I just wanted to start with a brief agenda. We're going to do introductions and then get into really why email marketing and some of our email marketing best practices, and then next steps, and then of course open it up for questions. But like Emily said, if you do have questions throughout the presentation, feel free to drop it in the chat and we can address those as we go along. So just wanted to start. I know I've met many of you, but it has been a few years, especially with everything crazy in 2020. But my name is Heather Hall, and I have worked for Associated Food Stores for about 10 years in the marketing department, doing a variety of different things. But my current role is I am primarily helping with our ARO marketing as well as with our digital marketing with ARO and our MRO stores. So I'm excited to talk to you a little bit more about one portion of that, which is our email marketing today. And then I have Aubrey with us as well, which Aubrey, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? She's going to present part of this to us today as well.
Thanks, Heather. So like she said, my name is Aubrey Doyson, and I am on the digital team. So I mainly focus on email, but I also do social media as well. And I've worked in a lot of capacities with AFS. I've been here combined about 5 years, left a little bit in between, but I've done rewards and a lot of other things within the company. But right now, like I said, I focus on emails and social media.
Perfect. Thanks, Aubrey. All right, so we're just going to jump right into our email marketing and really kind of the whys behind why we encourage stores to participate in email. There's been a lot of different studies done over the course of, the last probably 10, 20 years about email. But I just am sharing some results from one study here today. But from those different studies, we really have found that email is really the most accepted form of communication from shoppers. They don't feel like it's as intrusive, and it's easy for them to access. Most consumers are very familiar with email, and so it's something they're comfortable with. And in this study from I believe it was customerreports.com, they said that 83% of consumers prefer to receive communications from retailers and businesses through email. And so there is a huge percentage of customers that, that's what they're looking for in their preferred method. And then also we know that the people that we need to reach for your businesses are using email. About 94% of users that use the internet just in general between the ages of 18 and 64 send and read email every single day. And there's also a huge group over the age of 65 that are using it as well. About 147 million people across the country use it every single day. So it's a very widely accepted, widely used medium, which makes it a great tool for us as far as our stores go and as far as digital marketing goes. Some of the other reasons why we feel like email is so important is it is so much more cost effective than some other mediums. As all of you stores know, I that have been paying for print ads and direct mails for so many years, it can be very expensive to pay for the printed piece as well as the distribution. And so email is about 20 times more or less, excuse me, than a direct mail piece is. So it's just much more affordable. It also is much easier to track. And so we're able to see the ROI with email, and it has one of the highest ROIs in compared to all the other digital marketing mediums. And so again, it is just a very effective tool and what customers are looking for. Another reason that's really come to light over the last couple of years is email is great because it's a platform that you can control. I'm sure some of the stores on here probably have experienced this in the past, that distribution is getting trickier each year. And as we rely on, distributors like Velasas or Media One or your different newspapers, as those distributors are changing, it makes it more challenging for us to get our message out there and get our printed ad and our sales and things out there. And so by having email, it puts the store in control, it puts you in control of the messages you're sending to your stores, how frequently you're sending them, and just that you can send those messages. I know this last year, there were a few areas that Velasas came out and said, oh, we're no longer going to distribute in this area, which then created a little bit of a frenzy of how am I going to distribute my ad? And I know that we were able to work some of that out with Velasas and keep those distributions, but it does get tricky. And so that is one of the great things about email, is that puts you in control of being able to distribute your messages without relying on those distributors. And then the last piece that I really wanted to point out is just industry trends are showing a change. So we're lowering the print side, the print spends in more traditional media, and increasing higher on the digital side. So really just reallocating that money from a digital perspective. This slide here is one from Topco. Topco did a whole study with a bunch of different retailers about what they were doing from a traditional media and printed piece versus digital. And in that survey, they found that really 22% of the participants were decreasing their traditional spends, and they were increasing their digital media, and that was primarily by 42%. So you can see here this circled being, 42% were increasing that digital media. And I think we also want to be following those same trends. We want to make sure that we're, keeping up with the times, and especially as a result with the pandemic, I think people have moved even more to a digital focus. And so email can definitely help us to do that, to stay up with the trends and to keep up with that change in print versus digital media. So with that, I'm going to turn the time to Aubrey to talk to us a little bit about the email best practices.
Thank you, Heather. Do you want to jump to the next slide? Okay, so like Heather said, I'm just going to touch base on a few of best practices for email. So first things first is frequency. So with everything in life and work and all the things that matter, just start. So start somewhere. So we would suggest obviously just sending one per week, and then just watching as your email list grows, and you start off with a, capturing email campaign, and just start small. And then as that list grows, to bump it up to 2, and whatever you think would fit for your store. For most AFS retailers, we do 2 per week. One of those emails is an ad savings focused, and then the other one is a solutions focused, which I'll talk a little bit about that more in a minute. So that would be what we would suggest for frequency, is just to start small and start with 1 per week, and then move as your list grows. Heather, if you'll jump to the next one.
Sorry, I think it's a little delayed.
No, you're fine. Okay, so like I said, with the 2 emails per week, we have one that's savings focused and one that's solutions focused. So obviously with the savings one, this is really shouting about your ad. If you have any rewards promotions, weekend invitation deals, 2-day offers, just really anything that's offering savings to your customers. And then the next would be a solutions focused. So like it says right here, holiday recommendations, recipes, inspiration. So I included some examples here of ones that we've sent in our ARO emails. And it's really just looking at, in-store promotions, events, and providing solutions for those. So for example, I'll go from top to bottom. So at Christmas time, obviously gifting is at the top of everyone's list. So giving some options that we would offer in our store to our guests and written out in a blog post. Recipes are obviously a huge, perform really well for ARO and for our MRO stores. So taking our ad savings and utilizing those items from the ad and putting them into a recipe. And then also like another in-store promotion with case lot, giving some solutions of how they can make the most of case lot. So really just driving home savings and solutions there. Next would be subject lines. And this is really an opportunity to figure out the brand voice and kind of the personality you want your store to put forth and have some fun with it. So just some suggestions for ideas for subject lines is to keep it short and concise, to the point. You can have some fun with it and put some puns in there. Something that requires quick action, personalization, which most email platforms allow you to add personalization with adding like a first name in there. And then also have some fun with playing with emojis. So if you'll go to the next one, Heather. So here are just some examples. So these top few kind of really do the time, make you rush or make you want to come in to get the savings. So to get it before it's gone, time is running out, don't wait, discounts you don't want to miss, keeping it short and concise like this flash sale alert or shop now, save big. Another time push is the last chance. Simple add new savings, and then a little bit of personalization with hot deals for you. But also, like I said, you could add in the name as well. And then I included some examples to the right where you can play with some emojis. You don't want to get too crazy, but it's always fun to add a little design in there with the emojis. Okay, if you'll jump into the next slide, Heather. Okay, analytics, the fun part. So this is where we really get to see how our emails perform. And so here I've just listed the top 5 analytics that we would suggest to look at. These top 4 I would suggest to look at on a send basis. So every time you send an email to really analyze how your emails are performing. So first would be open rate. So this is the percentage of recipients who opened the email, which is obviously very important because obviously we want to get them to open it so they can see what's inside. Next would be the click-through rate. And this is the percentage of recipients who clicked on any links within the email. Lick links take it more specific so you can see exactly what links are being clicked. And then bounce rate. So there's 2 different bounces. There's a hard bounce and there's a soft bounce. So hard bounce is a permanent delivery option, which could be something like the email doesn't exist anymore. So with that one, that's something that you want to go through that list and delete those contacts. And then there's also a soft bounce, which is just a temporary problem, which could be something with a server or an out of office error. So those are 2 bounces to look at with the hard and the soft. And then an unsubscribe rate. So this one I wouldn't suggest to look at every time it sends, but more on a monthly basis to just see where you're at with unsubscribes. And then you can do a little bit digging in deeper to see why your customers are unsubscribing. And so I put right here just kind of a benchmark of where you want to be. So you want to be at or below a 0.1% unsubscribe rate with your emails. And if you're above that, it's really something that you want to delve deeper into and look for the issue there. And then also I've just included some other industry benchmarks with open rate and click-through rate. So with open rate, you want to be between 12 to 14% and click-through rate with a 1 to 2%. And this is the kind of the grocery industry benchmark. Okay, so then jumping into next, so A/B testing, and this is a great way to test out the things listed in the analytics. So A/B testing is where you send the same email to guests, but you separate subscribers into group and then just make small changes. So you can really see what your guests are responding to and then how you can adjust to make sure that your emails are performing the best and reaching your customers the best. So the things that you can adjust for A/B testing, first off would be subject line. So just changing things up to see if it gets more guests in certain groups to click and open your email. Changing out some of the content within it, so changing out recipes, You could possibly change out the items that you shout out in the email. And then another thing as well is send time, to kind of see when your customers are really active in opening their emails. And then from there, when you look into this, you can compare the results and find out what works, and then adjust for your audience so that you can really get your emails to perform at the max. You want to go to the next one, Heather? Okay, so ADA compliance. So ADA stands for Americans with Disabilities Act. And so this we definitely want to pay attention to, because we want and need to assure that all our guests are receiving the messages and are able to view them. And MailChimp, which is our suggested email marketing platform, makes being ADA compliant very easy. A lot of people get really worried about this, but with MailChimp, they've made it really simple to make sure that you're staying ADA compliant with your emails. So I've just listed out a few things that we want to make sure that we do to ensure that we are ADA compliant. So be free from content that flashes, make sure the order of your email makes sense and is logical, so that it can be resized up to 200%. Clear method of understanding, not reliant on coloring, high text contrast ratio, so it's easy to read. Alt text is a very important thing. So if you have an email that's very high in images, we can insert an alt text, so those who cannot view the images can still read the content that is being communicated through the images. Having flattened multi-layer images, text equivalents for complex images, and then free of any content that should not be an image. So those are things that are definitely important to be aware of as we are putting together our emails, so we make sure all our guests are able to view the emails. Heather, if you want to go to the next slide. It's a little laggy, I think. Perfect, thank you. No, you're good. Okay, so we wanted to show you a few email examples. So these are the emails that we send out for ARO. So as you can see, we focus very heavily on savings and solutions. So every email, 3 of these emails, so the first, third, and fourth would be some of our ad break emails that we really promote our ads. And then the second email is our weekend invitation email that really pushes our 2-day sales that we do on the weekends. But every email, we always want to provide a solution. So as you can see, we have recipes, we have, a build the best basket. We also are very prominent with our e-commerce platform. So every email, we make sure that's prevalent, really tying it into the theme. Occasionally we'll put an e-commerce promo code in there, and it's really easy to track from the email how the performance goes with those codes. We also link to our e-commerce platform so people can directly shop the ad. So if they click the top link, it takes them directly over to Rosie. And then also in our recipes, we link directly to the items within those recipes so they can simply shop them online directly from the recipe. So really just any opportunity we can to get them over to our e-commerce platform. Obviously that's become very popular in this past year, and so we want to make sure that our guests know about that option that we offer. Also, as you can see, these are very image-heavy emails. We don't have a lot of text, so this is where we add a lot of that alt text that I talked about with the ADA compliance behind the images, so those who can't view them, they still get the message across through that alt text. If you want to jump to the MRO examples, Heather. Okay, so we assist a few of the MRO retailers right now with their emails. So these are just a few examples from Brolem, Stokes, and Midway. And as you can see, their templates are a little bit different from ARO, but just as successful. So as you can see, a lot of savings and solutions. So this Brolem's one to the left is mainly pushing their ad savings with a few items that they wanted to push that week, and then the next one would just be a solutions based with some recipes. And again, they always take the opportunity to shout out their e-commerce platform as well. And then with Stokes, we have some savings and then a solution with the recipe below, which is great. They utilize one of the items from their ad savings with that Cinnamon Toast Crunch, which can be used in the recipe down below. So just making sure they all tie together. And then with the Midway Market, really shouting about the opportunity they have with rewards along with some savings. And these just show, like I said, a few other template options that are just as successful as the arrow ones, but just give a little different spin on email marketing. Heather,
Okay,
thank you.
A minute to go through photo licensing. This is a little bit silly, but super important just because it is a pretty big deal. With so many images available online, and as retailers are building their email marketing, it's important to keep these in mind. So I just wanted to make sure everyone on this call was aware of the rules with photo licensing. But there are so many, images available on Google or on lots of other sites, but we don't know who is the owner of those images. And if we're just taking images directly from Google and using them, we could be violating copyright because we don't own those images. So something that's important that we keep in mind, really the photographer who shoots the image is the one that's the owner, or if they work for a company, then that company, or is an employee of that company, then the company is the owner of the image. And the owner doesn't have to put some type of, watermark on it or identify it in any way in order to claim that. And infringement of these claims can be very expensive. We've seen up to $8,000 fines on this, and unfortunately, some of our retailers have seen these fines, and so it is something we take really seriously and want to make sure everyone is aware of. There are tools out there that help to track this. So I know sometimes we'll use an image and think, oh, no one will ever know I use this image, but that's really the wrong attitude to have, because there are tools that are very sophisticated that will go through websites and look for that image so that they can protect, the images that they've taken. There's also even free tools through Google. Google has like a Google reverse images. So we used this here just to show you example with these apples. We uploaded the picture of the apples. It went out and searched, and it found it on several of our store's websites, which of course that was fine to be there because it was a licensed photo that we were using, but had it not been, then it could open these stores up for opportunities to be addressed with fines and things. So we want to make sure you're aware of those. So things that we'd ask that you please never do is not downloading images from Google to be used on, specifically in email, but also in your print advertising or your website or social. Also make sure that we are not downloading things from non-reputable sites. I will give you a list of reputable ones on the next page, but we want to make sure that we're not using things that, we didn't shoot ourselves or was not purchased from a legitimate place. That if we are getting images from vendors, that they have proof that, it was a picture that they took and that we have license to use it, and that we shouldn't be distributing images that we purchase to others. So if we purchase it, we use it for our own items and don't distribute it. And then if we have purchased images for past projects, that we make sure that we double check that license, because when we purchase images, they have different licenses and restrictions on them. And so they don't always mean that we can just use it forever in any capacity. And so we want to make sure that we're using it based on what we agreed to when we downloaded the file. So as far as dues, we want to make sure that we're purchasing images from reputable sites. The ones that we like to use are iStock Photo, Getty Images, and Shutterstock. Those are all very reputable. They have legal indemnification that comes with it, so they're very safe. And when we do download those items, it's best to keep record of where they've been downloaded from and what the rules were as they were downloaded. And then we can help with this. If that's something that's overwhelming to you, AFS, we have the tools to be able to help you, especially with your website, social, in-store materials, your emails. Let us know if there's images you need. We have licenses with these different platforms, and we can make sure that we're helping to download the appropriate images that you need. Or of course, you can be taking images at your store as well. So with that, everything that we've covered today, I know can be a little bit overwhelming. So we want you to know that we can help to support you with email if it's something you are ready to move forward with. So if you're ready to move forward with email, if you will just contact me, my contact information is on the next slide, which I'll pop up. and let me know. We have a couple of options. The first option is to join our digital support program, which we have Aubrey, who you've met, and then we also have Ryan, which helps with this. And they do a great job of helping retailers to build their emails each week and to proof them and get them sent out. So that is the first option. We do have some kind of pricing in place today, but we're working on adjusting that and are hoping that we can just see what interest there is in the group here today. Because as we get more retailers, we can modify that pricing. And so if you're interested, if you'll just reach out to me so we can make that list, and we have, X number of retailers interested, which will allow us to get you a price on what that will be. Typically right now it's ranging anywhere from like $100 to $300 a month, just depending on the support level that retailers have there. So I would imagine it'll be something very similar, but again, we want to see the interest so that we can help get you the best price, and hopefully I'll join together to help that be even better. But the second option, if that's not something you want to do, is have our team help support you, is you can support and run your own email program. And if you'd like to do that, please contact me again as well, and we can help you get started with that. So we can help you get an email account set up, which, as Aubrey mentioned earlier, MailChimp is our preferred platform. And so we would help you to set up an account through MailChimp, help set up a few templates, and then train you to use it. And then you could then each week go through and create your own emails to be sent to your guests. So those are the two options that we currently have available. Here is my contact information. Feel free to reach out. My email's here on the left. If I'm unavailable, though, I've also provided Aubrey and Ryan's information. But like I said, we can help you with any questions that you have about email. If you want to get an account set up, if you're ready to move forward with our services to help you do this, really just let us know if there's things that we can do to help you with your email process. So with that, we just want to open it up to see if there's questions or things that we can help with today.
Heather?
Yes.
Yes, this is Emily. I don't have a question, but I'm wondering if maybe you could touch on how retailers can start acquiring email addresses and building their list, and maybe what are the best practices there?
Yeah, so there's a number of different ways we can go about doing that. And it depends on really what services the stores have already. So many of our retailers are getting those lists through their rewards program. So if you have a rewards program today, you likely already have a very large email list. So that is one and maybe the most simple way. Data who runs that, or I know some people are still through a Celatech, they can help provide feeds so that we can get those email addresses into your email account. For those that don't, we can set up other ways to collect email addresses through through your website, or you can also do collection boxes at the store. The website would definitely be the preferred method, because all you have to do is we add a form to your page, and then the guests can just type in that they would like to join, and it will automatically add them to your account. But if you don't have a website or don't want that option, we can do in-store, where they would fill out a form, they'd put it in the box, and then someone at your store would type those email addresses into your email platform. So it's fairly simple. We also can help with campaigns to help encourage people to go to like that page on your website, or just even like flyers at your store to ask them to go there to get more signups for your emails. I guess another one as well is social media through your Facebook or Instagram accounts is another great way to collect email addresses. So thank you, Emily. That was a great question. Is there anybody else that has questions? right, Emily, I guess I will turn it back to you. Everyone's so quiet today.
Okay, well, as I mentioned, we have recorded this. It will be posted on StoreLink. So if you had team members that weren't able to join or would like to review the information that we presented today, that is an opportunity for you. So we will send that link out with the recording. And then on the 20th, so next week, we have our social media marketing best practices. So I would imagine a lot of you are signed up for that. So we will review social media. So we look forward to seeing you again next week. And thank you for joining, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.